This topic came up with a friend of mine who is very much involved in business consulting, and it reminded me of situations that I have faced as well. So picture this. Imagine that your price point is $5,000. In other words, when you create a transaction, your gross profit is $5,000. And you meet a person who is interested in being part of whatever it is you're doing. And, it's a young lady, and when you meet her and you talk to her, you're very clear that she needs your help. After talking to her for a little while, you're pretty much convinced that you can help her. Another thing that you've determined while you're talking to her is that she can afford you. So the money is not an issue. She also says in the conversation that she wants your help. But along the way, you realize that she's going to be a problem client. Now you have a dilemma. You've got somebody who needs your help. You can help them. And they've confessed they want your help. They can afford your help. But everything about the situation tells you that probably you're going to regret doing this. But it's $5,000 from a person that maybe you can be helpful to. So what do? What are the ethical and the professional parameters that you use to shape decisions like this that are in some ways murky and gray? And for me, my price point's not $5,000. For me, somebody enrolls in a LegalShield membership, it's $19.95, let's say, for a family. And so the money is not catastrophic. But the implications of this situation to me personally are pretty significant, because if someone enrolls in LegalShield, for instance, and 3 months later they haven't used their membership and they cancel, and then they say, well, LegalShield, I didn't get any value out of it. They've created a negative environment for other people. And through no fault of LegalShield or no fault of mine, they have done potentially some damage to the brand. And so it would have been better for me to have not enrolled them had I known that this was going to happen. Then the question is, well, how do you figure that out? And how do you know that this is going to come back and be a negative situation? I think I personally, professionally work on this all the time. When I meet somebody who's a prospect, is this someone that I want to enroll? Is this someone who is going to legitimately benefit over the long haul with this enrollment? Or is this someone who's got a very specific problem? They enroll, they solve the problem, and then they bail. Or they've got a problem that is very specific, but they enroll and they don't even solve their problem, and then they bail. And then they spread the word of how the business that I'm in did not work for them. And so I'm constantly, it's really interesting when you meet a prospect. You say, my job today is to go out and meet prospects. And then you discover that, no, my job today is to meet prospects that are a good fit for whatever it is I do. And, at $19.95 a month, the tendency or the temptation to enroll someone who is not appropriate is not incredibly high. At $5,000, maybe the temptation would be a little higher, a little bit more significant. But I'm curious as to what y'all would do and how you would treat this, because I know Ted has a higher price point. Brent certainly does for real estate. How do you make decisions about this, and how would you deal with these particular situations yourself?
I can really relate to what you're saying, Ted, Keith, because I have the same thing, and my price point is fairly high as well. For me, I get a lot of people that are coming at me. Some of them are they want to spend $500 on a website, and my price that's lower than my price point. But even if they're right at my low point, they think that they can get everything for that low price point, and it's really just not realistic. So for me, the part is, do I have experience in their field? There might be, there's all kinds of different types of websites out there. There's one I'm working on right now is selling cheese. Another one is skincare, and insurance and all these different things. But so it's a challenge for me to make sure that if I just grab the business and say, okay, I'll do it, and then even though I say, okay, I gave you your money's worth, and they're still not happy, then what have I done? So that's really where I've kind of, as I've progressed, I've learned a lot about that, about not taking those ones that are just, you're just looking to spend as little money as possible to put a website up. That's not what I look for. I look for the clients that are as invested in their business as I am.
Yeah, I think, Keith, for me, I totally understand where you're coming with it, because my transactions are at a higher price point, but they also are fewer and far between. So it's about establishing that level of trust with a potential client, and knowing that when I do have a client, I'm going to be all in. I'm going to give 100% of what I can give to them, whether it's answering the phone multiple times a day or multiple emails, and protecting the investment of the client, so that not to share their information. So extra emails and extra follow-ups and attention to detail. So I've had to try to be selective in who I work with as well, especially when I feel like I'm being led down a road where I'm doing work for free. And that process has not been one that just happened overnight. It's one that's evolved. And and the more and more experiences that I have with people, I just sort of kind of file them away and remember them, and look for cues in people's words and inflections when they bring that stuff up, to know, okay, this is a serious prospect that's going to turn into a client, or no, this is someone who wants me to work for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great topic, and yeah, something I'm very close to. Even though I'm new in the business, I've been very measured in the clients that I engage with, the prospects that I'm speaking with, and honestly, there've been a couple where had I pursued it, I could have brought people into the class, and honestly, there was something that either my gut told me not to pursue it, or there was something that was easily identifiable, either that, yeah, they were a problem client, or there was something about that person, their personality, or their behaviors, that if I brought them into a mix with my other clients, because I've got a public training class, that something would go wrong, or not help to grow the environment that I'm trying to create. So yeah, it's I've been very, very measured, and some might say too measured. There may be some clients that could have worked out, or prospects that could have worked out, that I did walk away from. But it's something that, yeah, I take an inventory of every time I'm engaging with somebody, and asking the sets of questions. Is this the type of person that I can be successful with? Somebody that be successful by engaging with me? And what will this person do, or how will this person change the classes that I have built already? So yeah, I think it's very important. It's great that you're thinking about this, and your peers thinking about it, because there's people we can help, money we can bring in, but at the end of the day, is it the right thing for us to do? And certainly something I pay attention to daily.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever taken on a client that you knew you could help, but they were going to be a problem, but by golly, it's the 20th of the month, and money is money, and let's roll the dice and take a chance? How did it turn out?
So I got to say, Keith, I haven't yet. And there are two people that I'm specifically thinking about that I stopped pursuing simply because at this tenure in my business, I've trained plenty of people before, but I haven't had the experience in my own business where I felt comfortable enough to take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't taken that on. And that's not to say that I don't have challenging people. I've got one person in particular that I have in the environment that's more challenging than others, but so far I can manage it. And it's working out well, but I got to pull the reins in, right? So there are times when, when it's put on the table, I train people. So an hour and a half to 2 hours out of the week, group of people that are there together, and if somebody's trying to take over or redirect the conversation away from the agenda that I have, which is part of the content, I've had to pull the reins in a number of times. So it happens. It does happen.
Well, you've also got your, you obviously you get your return on investment, ROI, but I look at it as ROE, return on efforts. And I know that, money is money, Keith. You're absolutely right. But when I look at what I'm getting back on my efforts, when that payday does, or if ever comes, I'm saying, okay, was this worth my efforts and my time to make this happen? And yes, I'm thankful for the check so I can pay my mortgage this month. But moving forward, was there something that I could do different so that that bucket of time was used wisely? Such as this. Networking. I'm looking at, how much time am I spending on knocking on doors, as Ted said? How much time am I spending on having coffees? How much time am I having on networking? And is that balance working out for you? And, or is there time that could be spent in another avenue that's going to generate more clients that way as well? And your brand is perceived and your expertise is perceived. So if you're taking on a bunch of these, low return on efforts, how are others perceiving you as well when they want to do business?
That's exactly.
I really like the ROE. I think that's I had not heard that, and I appreciate that, because I'm going to add that to my vocabulary, because return on effort is different than return on investment. The investment can be very black and white. ROE is a lot more subjective and a lot more emotion and a lot more feeling involved in the ROE.
No charge for that. No charge.
Thank you very much. Put it on my tab.
I also think that when you get people who are lowballing you, or who can only afford a certain amount, it's almost like they're devaluing what you do. In their mind, this is all I can afford, but they think that if you agree to that, they think that, okay, this is what it costs. And if you don't give them what they're expecting, again, then they're going to get mad at you. And again, they're not going to give you referrals. And this is what we're all in the business of getting referrals. So that's another reason why I've decided, no, those clients are not for me, because you just can't win,
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all for your participation today.
All right. Thanks, Keith, and Keith Ivey. Again, this is Keith Ivey, sells LegalShield, as you can tell, and that was a great talk about that, because I was one of those guys who tried to solve a problem and couldn't. So you probably would have booted me out in the first place. But anyway, and you also help people network better. So thank you for your presentation. It was awesome. So
Thank you. And you're always welcome in LegalShield.
thank you, sir.